So, you want to win a Formula One World Championship. You think it's about the roar of the engines, the blinding speed of the pit stops, and the champagne showers on the podium. You imagine yourself in the garage, calling the shots, the master of your own technological empire. But here is what that dream actually looks like on a balance sheet. To even enter the grid, you need to be prepared to set hundreds of millions of dollars on fire every single year just to remain competitive. Before your car turns a wheel in pre-season testing, you have already committed to a budget that rivals the GDP of a small nation. You need a factory that functions like a high-tech fortress, a workforce of over 1,000 engineers, aerodynamicists, and data scientists, and a logistics operation that moves an entire circus across 24 countries, 6 continents, and 9 months of relentless high-stakes travel. The prize money? That barely covers the cost of the carbon fiber wings. The merchandise? That's for the fans. The real question isn't how Formula One teams make money, it's how they manage to survive long enough to chase a trophy that costs billions to pursue. Start with the cost of existence. In the modern era of the sport, a top-tier Formula One team is a hyper-specialized manufacturing and data analytics company that just happens to participate in races. To build the infrastructure from scratch, you aren't just buying cars. You are buying wind tunnels, supercomputers, and multi-axis CNC machines capable of sculpting parts to within microns of accuracy. A single front wing, a complex jigsaw of aerodynamic surfaces, can cost upwards of $250,000 to research, prototype, and manufacture. If a driver clips a barrier and shatters that wing during practice, you haven't just ruined a lap. You have essentially totaled a high-end luxury sports car. But the car is the cheapest part of the operation. The real overhead is human capital. You are hiring the brightest minds from the aerospace and software industries, paying premium salaries to people who could easily be working for SpaceX or Google. When you aggregate the salaries of aerodynamicists, trackside engineers, mechanics, and the support staff, you are looking at a payroll that often accounts for more than half of your annual operating budget. Then comes the relentless pace of development. Formula One is an engineering arms race, where the definition of obsolete is measured in weeks. You cannot simply build a car and race it for a season. You are expected to bring upgrades to almost every single race on the calendar. This means your factory is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, churning out new iterations of floor designs, suspension geometries, and engine mappings. The cost of this cycle is immense. You are paying for the electricity to run high-performance computing clusters that simulate billions of airflow interactions, the raw materials of exotic alloys and carbon fiber, and the expedited logistics to get these parts from the factory floor in England or Italy to a circuit in Saudi Arabia or Las Vegas within a 48-hour window. It is an industrial process that demands perfection under the most punishing timeline in professional sports. Let's talk about the logistics of the traveling circus. A Formula One team acts like a nomadic military unit. You have to transport hundreds of tons of equipment, spare chassis, engines, tires, tools, servers, and hospitality suites across the globe. You are chartering cargo planes, managing complex customs protocols, and ensuring that no matter where you are, your data connection to the factory back home is seamless. The sheer volume of freight is staggering, and the cost of keeping this operation mobile is a significant line item that never stops ticking, even when the cars aren't on track. Every logistical error is a potential failure in the championship fight, and every delay costs you track time, which is the most precious currency in the sport. Now, consider the revenue model. For decades, the economics of Formula One were notoriously opaque and tilted heavily toward the legacy giants. The prize money distribution system, historically tied to historical performance and team heritage rather than current success, created a tiered landscape. If you are a newer team, you are starting at a massive disadvantage, fighting for scraps while the established names secure the lion's share of the TV rights and sponsorship revenue. This is why the sport introduced the cost cap, the regulation, which limits how much a team can spend on performance-related activities, was designed to level the playing field. but it also fundamentally changed the team's identity from a spend-whatever-it-takes operation into one that requires ruthless efficiency. Under this cap, you aren't just managing speed, you are managing a balance sheet. Every dollar you spend on a new suspension bolt is a dollar you cannot spend on a new simulation software license. It is a game of marginal gains, where the winner is often the team that manages its budget best, not just the one that builds the fastest car. The commercial side of the house is where the survival happens. A team cannot exist on prize money alone. You are selling billboard space on a high-speed projectile. The sponsorship landscape is a brutal environment of global brand partnerships, where you are competing against every other sport and entertainment property for a slice of the corporate marketing budget. You need to provide your sponsors with global visibility, hospitality, and brand association that justifies the tens of millions they pay to put their logo on your side pod. You are not just a racing team. You are a content engine, a B2B network, and a lifestyle brand. You are selling an association with glamour, innovation, and technological supremacy. If your performance drops, your sponsorship value plummets, your prize money shrinks, and you find yourself in a death spiral of austerity that makes it impossible to climb back to the front of the grid. The risks involved are both guaranteed and catastrophic. The guarantee is the failure rate. You can spend $300 million, hire the best drivers in the world, and still end up at the back of the pack because you misinterpreted the latest aerodynamic regulations. The catastrophic risk is the accident. A massive crash doesn't just cost you the price of a car, it ripples through your entire budget, forcing you to cannibalize your development funds to pay for repairs. And then there is the unpredictability of engine development. If your engine manufacturer misses the mark on a regulation change, you are essentially handicapped for years, forced to spend massive amounts of capital just to play catch-up with the leaders who hit the target on the first try. This brings us to the privateer versus manufacturer divide. Being an independent team in Formula One is an exercise in extreme financial vulnerability. You have no parent company to absorb losses. If you have a bad year, you don't have a corporate conglomerate to keep the lights on. You have to find investors, secure loans, or pivot your business model entirely. This is why we see the trend of teams becoming more closely integrated with other entities, sharing parts, or leveraging synergies between automotive production and racing. The economics of a modern F1 team demand that you be as much a business strategist as a racing enthusiast. Ultimately, owning an F1 team is a pursuit for the ultra-wealthy, the daring, or the hyper-efficient. It is a world where the margins of victory are measured in milliseconds, but the margins of profit are measured in the ability to withstand constant, high-level financial pressure. The cars are glorious, the racing is electrifying, and the spectacle is unparalleled. But behind the scenes, it is a relentless, exhausting, and incredibly expensive logistical and financial puzzle. You aren't just racing against other teams on the asphalt. You are racing against the limitations of your own budget, the volatility of your sponsorship revenue, and the unforgiving nature of a sport that never stops demanding more. You survive by being disciplined, by being clever, and by ensuring that when the lights go out on Sunday, you have the financial, technical, and human infrastructure to survive until the next race. That is the real cost of Formula One. Not the car, but the compounding, high-stakes commitment to a machine that consumes capital as fast as it consumes tires.